questions for Ben? Becky?
Besides using the internet to spread awareness of the SU, do you have any other plans? Or
I have some big plans. I know this year, and this is one of a bugbear of mine, there's been, I don't know if there's a poster up here, and it doesn't look like it, is the Finding Issues Students Have campaign, which is, well, I won't comment on that. But in terms of my role next year, I think definitely going to classes and making people aware, obviously working with whoever becomes VP Education in terms of talking with course reps and communicating directly with them, and just going out and just getting people's face out there. All the sub teams should be out at least a day, a week each, just making sure that people know who they are and what the SU does.
Okay, I can see 3 people with their hands up. We're going to start with Hanif.
Hi Ben.
Hi Hanif.
If you do get elected as a VP Communication Democracy, will you be looking to remove the motion that was passed in 2 councils ago about the fish strategy?
If it's a good idea, the ideas behind the motion are really good, and it is true that we should be going out and engaging with students and going to them instead of them having to come to us. I think that's a fantastic idea, commendable idea. As to the branding of it, I don't think it needs to be posterised, because I think it should be something that students are aware of through the SAB officers going out, not by reading on a poster. As far as I'm aware, as of yet, apart from yourself with the course reps and Tank at the iZone, I haven't seen much other than postcards. Postcards being handed out and filled back in. So I'm not a big fan of the branding of it, but I think the principle of it is sound.
Questions from Mark?
Obviously, you're running for this position because you feel as though you want to make a change. What do you think of the current climate of communication in the student union?
Okay, the current, I mean, I'm going to focus on the positives here, in that we've got Becky and Claire sat behind me, Twittering and Facebooking away, who do a fantastic job in the marketing department, and all the back office staff do a fantastic job of communicating, making the materials and posters and things like that to be sent out, but I think a lot more needs to be done by sabbatical officers to make sure that that information is communicated in a way that's effective to students and not just posters, postcards and parking screens.
Okay, got one more question here.
It seems quite bizarre to me that the VP Communications Officer and we have to set up Fish, Go, whatever it's called. I've not seen it anywhere whatsoever. But as Communication Officer, that surely, and the sabbatical officer, surely communication is the key to interacting with the students. You talk about going out there and all the rest of it, and I'm sure the guys that are in charge at the moment do that. I've seen several of them around myself. What difference are you going to make, other than a lot of words put out there saying that you're going to do different things? What actual actions are you going to do to interact with students?
Well, that's a good question. I think, in terms of interacting, I think it's a fair thing to go out and stand in the library foyer and ask questions, stand outside the SU and ask questions. But I think what needs to happen is definitely in the run-up to Freshers Week and all the way throughout the year, we need to be interacting with lecturers to say, look, this is what we do. This is the student union. It's like a pivotal part of student life. Can we take 5, 10, 15 minutes, or as much time as you're prepared to give us out of one seminar every now and again, just so we can kind of, talk directly to students while they're there, and while they're probably in a lecture, you're probably more likely to pay attention in some instances to someone new who's coming in rather than just a lecturer. So I think it's important to kind of set those times aside in the timetable to effectively go out and not just be catching people as they're walking by and rushing to lectures and things like that.
Okay, we've got time for about one more question, and so you can choose hand up.
Yeah, if you do get elected as VP Communication and Democracy, how will you make sure that the right kind of information is out there and it's accurate? And what safeguards will you have in place for this?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Is there any kind of examples that you could think of?
Like, say for instance, someone submits an article or they want to put something in the radio. How will you make sure that it's correct? It's not misleading. It's not scandalous. It's not something people will, hear on the radio and say, I don't want to hear that on my student radio. What safeguards do you have in place to make sure that the right kind of information is out there? And if it is, what safeguards will you have to make sure? Will there be a standard set or?
Right. Okay. I think I can kind of get it. In terms of the radio and the newspaper, as a SAB, I believe the newspaper and radio should be editorially independent from the SAB office. It shouldn't be run by the paid officers at all. If there was something, and obviously, as you're saying, if there is something put out there, there has to be safeguards. Having studied media law for the past 3 years, I know the ins and outs of that type of thing. So obviously there are procedures to follow in terms of the press and the outside world, but I think in terms of making sure things are accurate and things are not misleading, it's obviously a judgment call of making sure that everyone who's involved in both the radio and the newspaper know the guidelines, know what they can say, know what they shouldn't say, and if complaints come to me, then it's a case of dealing them case by case. I can't make a broad comment or a general comment because obviously these things are highly individualised to the specific cases, but I'm sure in the back office there are complaints procedures that need to be followed, and I intend to follow them to the letter, as it were.
Okay, thanks very much, Ben. Okay, so we're on to the top position now, which is the president. We have had apologies from Karine Dumrod, who unfortunately can't make it. I think we have got Matt Christie. Do we have Zishan Iqbal?
Feeling on the spot now, actually. So I'm Matt. I spent 18 months of my university life setting up Radio Hood, and then I stepped back and let someone else manage it. I've recently took over as manager. I think that a strong president should be someone who listens to views of everyone, no matter ethnicity, creed, religion, beliefs. I believe that we've got a very strong leader in charge of the uni at the minute in Junaid. It's a shame that he has to step down, but I also believe I'm the best person to take over from Junaid. I think I've got some good policies regarding work experience that I think everyone should have access to. I think we need to make our new bar downstairs a hell of a lot better than it already is. And I also think that we need to encourage more campaigns, more active involvement in student union activities, such as Union Council. I won't lie, I'm new to Union Council. I went to my first one a couple of months ago, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but I really loved it, and I think that everyone else should have that opportunity to try it and to get involved on any level that they want.
Okay, Matt, your first question is, would you rather see a ghost or see an alien?
Depends what the ghost was of. I haven't really, no one closely died, so I don't think I'd want to see a ghost. I'd quite like to see an alien because Hollywood kind of glorifies a lot of aliens, doesn't it? So I don't know. I think I'd like to encounter different species, definitely. Yeah.